Okay, this is a quick video about proposals to help you think about uh, how proposals work. Um, you need to write a claim and outline for proposals, and this gets you, this supports that conceptual process. We begin the class by exploring positions, and I do that intentionally because positions are often used to convince people to do something, usually in response to a problem. And that problem is something that exists in the world, and we're offering solutions. Or sometimes the problem is that other people are offering a solution that you don't agree with. And proposals are everywhere. Essentially, every time you think about an argument to change something or to not change something, you're making a proposal argument. These are the most common type of argument people think of when they think of argumentation, but they are made up of arguments of fact or evaluation or causation or definition. And in fact, if you did your position argument right, it usually, not always, but it will usually have a corresponding proposal. So for instance, I had someone writing about an argument of fact that clean energy isn't that clean, exposing the ways in which it's dirtier than people realize. Well, the proposal connected to that is about environmental policy, things we should or should not do, specific laws we should or should not support. So usually a good position argument has a proposal implied within it. It's usually focused on the purpose of the future. So the purpose of a proposal argument is about the future. Position arguments can argue about the past. I just had an argument about who's the greatest basketball player of all time. Proposals in their purpose is more focused on the future. And so the evidence to support a change or not change is really, really crucial when you're trying to get people to make decisions about something that hasn't happened yet. Because it hasn't happened yet, you need to marshal evidence to support your guess. That's essentially what it is. Your proposal argument is a guess about what will or will not happen, and why should we listen to your guess. And you really need to focus on the audience for this. Why? Remember, you're writing to people who don't already agree with you, so what kind of evidence will convince those who don't already agree with you? I mean, if you're going to argue that, what's a current debate going on? If you're going to argue that the United States should stop assisting Ukraine, so that's a proposal, you need to speak to people who think Ukraine and support of it is important. Don't talk to the people who already agree with you, but how do you convince, what things motivate, what things inspire, what things do the people who already disagree with you value? That's how you got to think about proposals and their purpose. This internal structure slide is a great example of how to outline a proposal. Most proposals are in response to a problem. So, what is happening that we need to do something about, right? A need or a problem. So, vividly described, explaining how it affects people, how it's significant and pressing, and how it hasn't been addressed before. And then what you want to do, your proposed solution, that the proposed solution will work and that it's feasible. So for instance, if we talked about the state of American education, it's a common topic right now. The federal government's considering closing the Department of Education, and one of the arguments they regularly make is since its formation, students, according to them, the way they view student success, American education hasn't improved. Of course, that depends on what metric you look at. You could look at international testing. You could look at graduation rates. They tell different stories. But if you saw education as educational outcomes, low educational outcomes as a problem, proposed solutions, you have to show that they'll work and that they're feasible. Now, a solution to education would be lower teacher to student ratios. I mean, let's say we had somebody with a PhD in math teaching you your math class, and there were only 3 people in it. And you got that much attention, and you got that much focus, and you got that much individualized effort. So for every 3 students, we had a PhD teacher, a teacher with a PhD education in math, and then one in English, and then one in science, and one in social studies. And let's say gym. Let's say you have a professional athlete or a professional athletic trainer as your gym teacher. That would improve outcomes. That would work. Is it feasible? The answer is no. Feasible means, is it possible? Can this be done? And the answer is no. We couldn't afford that, but if the teachers don't exist, right? So thinking about first proving that the solution will work, will address the need while addressing the weaknesses. All proposals have weaknesses, otherwise they're not debatable. And addressing, is it feasible? Is it possible? Can this actually be done? And then what are the downsides of whether it's possible or not? What are the things that make it challenging to do so? So that's when I say a claim and an outline, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what you're going to share with other students to get some of their feedback. They're going to act as if they don't already agree with you and help you think through the argument. And it helps you think about what kind of evidence you need. It helps you think about what kind of research you need to do. You should be an expert on who's proposed the most reasonable solution. Why are they the most reasonable? Why are they the most credible? Why are they the voice that should be listened to in this conversation? That should definitely be an aspect of your research. Here are some sample problems and solutions. Future deficits in the Social Security system is definitely a problem. Social Security is going to run on money. A possible solution is to raise the age of retirement to 72. First, I'd have to prove that would work, that would address the financial struggles of Social Security. And second, I'd have to prove that it's feasible and address why some people think it's not feasible or not possible, or what are the downsides of it. Not just telling me what the downsides are, but rationalizing why those downsides don't outweigh the positives. And you can see the rest of these. Each is a problem and then a solution and how we can address it. Now, as you think about problems and solutions and proposals, there's kind of a range of scope. So usually personal, local, or college problems, LCC or Fair State, maybe Michigan, usually those are better because you can personally interact and relate to them. You know, what makes you sound like you're not using AI is when you use vivid, unique description, sometimes from personal experience, sometimes not, but based on the personal experiences you've had. You can write about regional, national, and global problems. It just gets really hard to effectively do that in a way that doesn't sound like AI in 1,500 words. Sometimes the choice essay, the last essay in the class, it's easier to pick something bigger because you got to write 2,500 words. But think about what are problems that are personal, that have public resonance. So something that's happened in your life that there is a public solution for. Okay, so what is one I can think of? Oh, I got one. So I'm a firm believer in protecting the boundary waters. So there's a proposal for a strip mine to be allowed just outside the boundary waters in part of the headwaters of that wilderness area. So I go to the boundary waters 2 or 3 times a year. So I have a personal experience with that, and I can connect to this public problem. Another thing I think I could write about is I have a daughter that struggles with math, but doesn't struggle enough to get extra help. So this hole that I see in the educational system is personal, but has a public resonance. This is something that affects other people. So other people have kids that struggle with math. Other people like going to the boundary waters and are worried about those issues. So I can personally connect to both of those, and it makes a lot of sense. Things that you've struggled with in terms of problems or needs that you think the world can address are great for this assignment. So here's some questions to think about. Are there any new things going on in your town or your school or the state legislature, region, country, world, right? The things that are changes often can be interesting proposals because you're going to either support the change or not support the change. And that is a kind of problem solution or proposal work. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Teaching through video and readings is challenging because there isn't interaction, and the interaction is totally up to you to initiate. And I hope you do.